So let's see what's going on about this. Give me 1 second to plug some headphones in because my computer does my mic picks it up. My YouTube for some reason. I'm really interested to see this. Apparently, Henry Cavill is striking back. Let's see what this is all about.
It's Endymion, and recently, as I'm sure you're aware, Netflix has begun their media campaign around The Witcher Season 3. And while I'll be covering many aspects of what's been going on surrounding this latest season, I also kinda want to rant a little if you'll permit me to do so. But before that, let's talk about what's been shown thus far. Firstly, we have the official poster being shown with Geralt, Ciri, and Yen front and center. Although fans have been quick to point out that
Oh yeah, blame the viewers works really well to retain customers. Well, especially because most of the people who actually really like The Witcher like Henry Cavill as The Witcher, and most of the criticism that the entire show has gotten has been it straying from the source material and pulling like weird crap about it. Like this whole season 2 and the direction it seems like the show has been going, it hasn't been The Witcher, it's been Ciri. They need to change the name of the show from The Witcher to Ciri because Geralt is The Witcher. And everyone knows that Henry Cavill's been pushing for the whole time had been pushing to stay closer to the source material than what they were, and that was where a lot of the strife came from. And then there was that whole there was a release. It was essentially a twit longer about a crew member going on about like Henry Cavill being like really bad to work with and misogynist, and then they took it down and made a formal apology because it was all like untrue and was essentially defamation. But let's watch this. Let's see what's going on.
Geralt
now
is somewhat covered and brushed to the side in the poster, which as I keep going, this theme will unfortunately continue. Also, it was announced that Season 3 will be split into 2 parts. The only reason why studios do this to their shows is to have their projects stay longer in the spotlight. And it's simply designed to build hype in order to gain more views and acclaim in order to finish the season with great renown.
I like how Western media started doing this, and I really feel like animes did it first.
A good example of this strategy working would be Stranger Things Season 4. They left the fan base on a cliffhanger with Part 1, which put everyone into a frenzy with theories, and once hype was through the roof, they dropped the second part, and the starved fan base devours it like a pack of wolves being thrown a Swiss chalet rotisserie chicken.
Yeah, but I really think that Attack on Titan did it first.
It's a sound strategy, but I honestly don't think it'll work for The Witcher like it did for Stranger Things for, well, obvious reasons. And according to Redanian Intelligence, who regularly has scoops on all things Witcher, they have apparently been given insights and even leaked scripts of the upcoming season. According to them, they also know what Henry Cavill's final scene will be as Geralt as well, and it's bittersweet to say the least. Geralt will end the season by rejecting his profession, where a supporting character will call out yelling Witcher, to which Geralt will reply, "No, no more." Before people get mad about this, it should be said that in the Witcher novel, The Tower of the Swallow, Geralt does reject his position as a Witcher for a time as well.
Okay, I was gonna say, doesn't that like go against like everything he is? I haven't read the books. I've been meaning to for a long time. But yeah, that came across very weird to me.
As it is book accurate to have Geralt forego this, and in the novels, even Geralt's Witcher medallion melts in the fire as he renounces his duties during that book. However, whether the scenario that leads up to this is similar, I obviously can't say yet since the season isn't available yet. And according to showrunner Lauren Hissrich, this final scene of Henry as Geralt will be his heroic send-off, and I quote, "Geralt's big turn is about giving up neutrality and doing anything that he has to do to get to Ciri. And to me..."
So, we know that he's getting recast. It's not just they're phasing out Geralt. He's getting recast. So the final scene is going to be I'm not a Witcher anymore. And then when he comes back like the next season, he's going to have a completely different face, which to me is just I want to see those scenes back to back because that seems really hilarious to me.
Me, it's the most heroic send-off that we could have, even though it wasn't written to be that. Geralt has a new mission in mind when we come back to him in Season 4. He's a slightly different Geralt than we expected. Now, by the way, that's an understatement, end quote. Yeah, slightly different is an understatement, Lauren. You can say that again. Anyway, beyond this, it does seem Season 3 will, to some degree, be taking more inspiration from the novels, with the teaser opening as Geralt enters a ruin and drinks a Witcher potion. In the novel, Time of Contempt, Geralt does fight a manticore, which this could be, but it could also be Geralt taking a contract within the town of Hirondum. This contract involves a drowned child and could be Netflix's way of showing us the creatures known as drowners, but we'll see. We also can see Geralt unsheathing his steel sword, which is used when fighting men, not monsters, so that's pretty.
I'll have to watch the actual trailer because I haven't watched the trailer. I honestly don't feel like watching season 3, but I want to hear what this Henry Cavill Strikes Back thing is.
Pretty cool. I know I shouldn't get excited about this, but I just love The Witcher, and this entire situation just makes me so upset knowing they're gonna ruin this.
How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all of your favorite franchises go down in flames?
Feels great.
We also see Ciri getting chased by what seems to be the Wild Hunt, which is led by Aridin, the main villain of CD Projekt's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. He also appeared in the god-awful Blood Origin, if you had the stomach to watch that like I did, unfortunately.
Wait, but I thought Blood Origin had like nothing to do with the actual Witcher. It just used like the name, like the overall like, oh, they're elves and there's humans and that's it. It had like nothing to actually do with the Witcher.
Anyway, enough about Netflix's rights, let's talk about Netflix's wrongs. And there's something really interesting about how all of this went down. And while at first glance it may seem like nothing, the timing couldn't be more suspiciously anti-Witcher. Around the time of this new season getting announced, Henry released a behind-the-scenes look at his upcoming film, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which is being directed by Guy Ritchie. In this promo, Henry is excited as hell and looks to be having a ton of fun making the flick, which is always great to see.
This looks very Inglourious Bastardsy, and it seems like it's going to be a good film. Like just this scene right, just this clip right here makes it seem like it's going to be a fun movie.
Henry had this to say, and I quote, "That's a wrap. My days on ungentlemanly warfare are over. 'Tis a sad day. I'm going to echo the sentiments of my co-stars and sing the praises of our intrepid crew. It's rare to come across a team so driven, dedicated, and committed to the storytelling. That drive and dedication is only intensified by having a leader such as Guy Ritchie. His ability to weave story and create character might be second to none, and he wields it like it were magic. Those ingredients, skill, drive, and exceptional talent at the top, are only 3 of the ingredients needed for an experience that will last forever in memory. The 4th is happiness. Guy creates happiness on his set. It's a joyful place to be, full of laughter and japes and jests. The crew and cast's approach and personality is key in this. Everyone without fail was able to enjoy themselves while also working hard and being exceptional. This wee pontification would not be complete without heaping praise upon my fellow actors. Alan Ritchson, the man mountain with a heart of gold, and
so I mean, like he's just talking about why his new movie was really fun to make. It doesn't seem like a strike back at The Witcher. Besides, like if you read between the lines, but even still, who's to say that Henry Cavill is even thinking about The Witcher at this moment? Maybe he just put it behind him, and now he's just talking about his new thing.
And a wisdom and talent that can sweep you off your feet. Alex Pettifer, the lover, the laughter, the warmth of a big smile, and a jawline that would challenge the Turkish mountains. Henry Golding Jr., a snap, quick acting reaction time, handsome beyond belief, and always a man I was happy to see. And the last but not the least of my immediate team of misfits, Hero Fiennes Tiffin, a megastar in the making. I know a lot of you know him already, but oh my, he's going to have a magnificent career.
I've only ever seen one of these people in anything, and I think it was the first guy, and I think it was in like a movie that didn't do too well. I've seen this guy, like the big guy. He's in the Reacher TV show, and then there was the guy after him. He was only there for like a second, but he was in I Am Number 4. He's like the lead for that.
To the makers of the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, I shall miss you all, and God's willing, see you soon. End quote. The point of me showing and reading this to you is to further point out how Henry Cavill is not only a professional, but he's not afraid to recognize people who love what they do as well. He also posted this, like I said, when Season 3 of Witcher was announced. And many, including that Star Wars girl who I caught wind of this from, it almost seems like a slight attack towards Netflix and how he was treated on Witcher. It's been very well done.
I don't think it is. I think he doesn't think about either of them, and I think he has to post the Witcher thing because he's probably contractually obligated to do it. And then he just wanted to talk about how great the filmmaking for that movie was. I don't think he was being petty.
Documented already that Henry's love and passion for accuracy when it comes to The Witcher was something the producers and writers, well, they just didn't share that with him. And while Netflix is saying they're sticking closer to the books with this new season, it also seems in classic Netflix fashion that they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. Netflix has said in the past that the Witcher Netflix series...
I have never heard that phrasing before. They're talking out of both sides of their mouth? I've never heard that before.
Exists within its own world, which they view as being separate from the books or games. Speaking to Screen Rant, we have some quotes from VFX supervisor Sebastian Francoeur and producer Graham Marshall on the future of The Witcher and Netflix. These two had to say, and I quote, "We're working on some pretty tasty stuff for the next season. We're at the point where we're showing the creative team now, and they've been wowed by the stuff we're showing them, so that's cool. As far as Season 4 is concerned, we haven't really gotten too heavily involved just yet. But with Season 3, we're in the throes of delivering the final couple of episodes on that, and it's super cool. I don't think it's anything that anyone's read or seen before in Witcher lore, so I think it's gonna be exciting." And to quickly interject here between the quote, they were then asked about staying closer to the books and their experience with the writing team and showrunner Lauren Hissrich, to which they said, and I quote, "We were referencing pretty much one for one some of the magic, and they were like, no, we can't. We don't want to go down that road."
Hold on, wait. He just said some weird things. Like, so he said they're... Let me re-listen to that. That was some weird statements he just made.
Yet. But with Season 3, we're in the throes of delivering the final couple.
Because they said you're going to see something that you've never seen before or read in any of the books or the games. So it's going to be completely different because you've never seen it before. But then we're referencing one for one what the game or what I'm confused.
Episodes on that, and it's super cool. I don't think it's anything that anyone's read or seen before in Witcher lore, so...
Yeah, it's cool because it's nothing anyone has ever read or seen before in Witcher lore. So that right there, they're saying it's completely new, which is what they've been mocked for, and the criticisms towards the entire show already, and it's not what they should be doing. But then now he's going to say they're going to do it was one for one shot.
I think it's going to be exciting. And to quickly interject here between the quote, they were then asked about staying closer to the books and their experience with the writing team and showrunner Lauren Hissrich, to which they said, and I quote, "We were referencing pretty much one for one some of the magic, and they were like, no, we can't. We don't want to go down that road. I think there's a lot of fans of one or the other, and you don't want to upset one without doing something that the other likes, etc. So they were very careful about keeping it true to the lore, true to the realm, true to The Witcher." I feel like this is where...
Wait, what? Okay, maybe it's the way he's saying it, but I'm super confused right now. Because the way he's saying it sounds like the VFX artist said, let's keep it one for one. And then the writer said, no, we don't want to go down that road. So let's keep it true to the lore. I don't understand. I'm not going to go back again, but I don't understand what he's saying, what that sentence meant.
They're separate from the video game or separate from the books is kind of allowing them to explore other storylines and other places and things like that. I think that's working well for them so far. It's different from watching a show like The Last of Us in which the first episode is the beginning of the video game. Whereas with this, I think there's a lot of creative license to stay similar and true to certain parts and enable them to explore different parts as well. It's like the novels are the guidebook, but not the Bible by any means. End quote. It's that final part there that really irks and makes me question if the people involved with adapting stuff for television understand what they're even saying. Saying the novels are the guide, but not...
Yeah, because what they're doing is they're just at this point, what they're doing is they're just using the name The Witcher to garner extra views without actually making The Witcher. They're making something completely different. It's like it's the problem that everyone is having right now. I mean I kind of want to compare it to Velma, right? Like they're taking IPs, existing beloved IPs, and then slapping it onto some random story that means nothing to it.
The Bible makes zero sense. My brother in Christ, you are literally adapting the book which contains the writings of what happens. If there was ever a Bible for your adaptation of something, it would be the literal book you're adapting. Like, am I crazy? Do I sound stupid here? What are these people even...
Like what would be a really cool story is if you just you could still take your story and call it The Witcher, but just make it people inside The Witcher and don't make it follow Geralt or Ciri or Yennefer at all. Maybe they're side characters even, right? You can do that kind of thing and people would probably love it as long as your story's good. But don't take original characters, original story, and say you are adapting it when you're not, and you're making a completely new story with it. I think that's one of the big problems people are having. If you said like Blood Origin, right? If you said they make something that's not what they're advertising. It's like false advertisement. It's Blood Origin. Oh my god, it's the origin to The Witcher, and then it has nothing to do with The Witcher. Right? It has nothing to do with the actual origins because no one on that writing team actually knew what was going on with that. Now, if instead you just set a random story in the world of The Witcher and had some people like having like going through struggles and had nothing to do with the actual main story, that would still be a really compelling story. And you could make something like that. But don't advertise it as it's The Witcher or the origin of The Witcher. Like, don't do that. Don't false advertise. I think that's where a lot of these shows are going really wrong.
Even saying anymore. And it's full of idiocy that these people reference The Last of Us as something to not emulate, when that show was not only a massive success, but took many scenes right out of the game and put them into the show. Almost as if the game was like, I don't know, a Bible for the show that's adapting the game for television? Which is what you should be doing when you're making an adaptation of something that exists? Hello? What? It's very clear that...
I kind of need to watch The Last of Us show, but like at the same time, I kind of don't want to. I love The Last of Us Part 1. It was a great game. I've played it through multiple times. I platinumed it on PS3. But I've heard good things and I've heard bad things about it. So it makes me kind of on if I want to watch it or not. The problem is just taking the time to watch it.
Netflix has no interest in staying within the confines of the books, and just wants to cherry pick what they like while morphing or removing what they don't like. After all, they're adapting a book series based on Slavic European culture and myths and thought the cast was too white. and needed to infuse diversity so that The Witcher's world emulated real life. And like I've said in previous videos, it's very telling that Netflix especially has no problem with keeping projects very black, or other ethnicities if required. But whenever it's a project based on a predominantly white property, now it's suddenly a problem. We have to remember that when Netflix and its hacktivist writers actually created their own original story within The Witcher, we ended up with Blood Origin, which not only added nothing to the mythos of substance, but ruined mysteries like the conjunction of the spheres by making it the result of two wizards fighting in dresses.
I can't take it anymore! I just want to die!
And then they made the first prototype.
I mean, I know Blood Origin was a bad story. I haven't watched it. I know it was bad. But I mean, like, I have no other comment on any of this stuff.
Witcher, a roided out, head-shaven elfin guy who looks more like a Grey Hulk than a Witcher. And that show did so horribly that I don't know anyone who considers that show's lore or story to be canon in any capacity. Because when people think of what's the worst parts of Netflix's The Witcher, it always includes everything Netflix added to the series that wasn't there to begin with.
There's a deaf sign language using character.
And everything people did love about the series was because of Henry Cavill, and when Netflix actually respected the source material. So ironically, the only times people like the show is when they treated the books like the Bible. Fun.
Now, you can adapt something and adapt it completely differently. There's a movie that had Robert De Niro in it. I can't think of any other actors. What was it called? Stardust. The original books were really horrible, and when the movie came out, while it didn't do like amazing, it's become a little bit of a cult classic. Like, people like started watching it like way later. It didn't do great in the box office, but afterwards it picked up pretty well, and pretty much everyone agrees that the movie was way better than the books. So you can adapt things and change things a lot to do it, but you have to have a good writer and you have to have a good direction. And when you don't, it's gonna crap, and you can't blame outside sources for why your stuff crapped. That's it. And one of the problems is that the vocal minorities for a lot of these people are like, vocal minorities are what the whole world revolves around right now. And you have stuff like people saying like, oh my god, The Witcher was so woke, but was that why it was bad? No, it was bad because the writing was bad. That's it. But they just can't voice themselves correctly, and they're a really vocal, loud minority, so that's what everyone thinks why some people don't like The Witcher. But no, it was just the writing was bad. It's Game of Thrones season 8, you know?
Funny how that works.
If that's comparable to this sort of world, this culture of toxic fandom, where like if you make a movie, especially if you make a superhero movie, like you have great intentions, but there are always going to be a small yet vocal group of people there can kind of just be toxic.
I understand what you're saying, but when it comes to fans, it is a fan's right to have whatever opinion they want to have. And people are going to be upset because, especially when you're talking about books or games, because you're never going to be the exact person who they had in their head or who they played on Witcher 3, for example. I don't necessarily consider that toxic. I just consider that passion.
And Henry,
and most of the time when they do add things from the source material, they don't do it right, and it's badly written.
Like I said earlier, had heaps of praise to say about his cast and the director when it came to his time on Ungentlemanly Warfare, which, by the way, is also based on a novel. But when Henry posted about Witcher 3's teaser, here's what he had to say about it on Instagram. That's it. Weird how he doesn't write massive paragraphs praising the direction, or the cast, or the writers. You can tell that Henry posted this because it's in his contract. So he just left some hashtags so Netflix would leave him alone so he could go back to painting his Warhammer figurines. And like I've said in my previous video, Netflix even race swapped Cleopatra into a black woman. So apparently they don't even respect actual history as something they need to adhere to when adapting stories. So when a company goes as far as to race swap and change the history and ethnicity of a real person, it's no surprise that they couldn't care less about making sure if The Witcher is book accurate. because these stories and properties are not viewed as opportunities to adapt in order to do them justice. They're just free real estate for woke creators to push ideology down our throats.
It's free real estate.
I wouldn't be surprised if
I also understand the irony of what he's saying right now. Of, hey, it's free real estate to push their ideology down our throats while he's spewing ideology. At the same time, I mean, like, I don't know, like, be respectful to the source material and the historical source of things. I think is a good take, but yeah.
if Geralt appears to a lesser extent in this new season as well, as it's becoming increasingly prevalent that bait and switching an audience's expectations is becoming the norm lately. You have shows like The Mandalorian, which was supposed to be about Grogu and Mando, and it was advertised as such. But if you actually watch Season 3, then Bo-Katan stealths in and hijacks the show, with Mando and Grogu playing second fiddle to Bo.
I mean, it was the same thing in the Boba Fett, right? The second part of Boba Fett was just The Mandalorian Season 3, pretty much.
And her girl boss objectives. And now the producers of that show say anyone can be the Mandalorian.
It's the Mandalorian right at this point, and so I think it could be anyone. And
I do think that's really stupid. Like, he is the Mandalorian, but for the show The Mandalorian, anyone can be the Mandalorian. No, that's dumb. You've already created a bunch of expectations. If you're going to try and swap the lead person, make a whole new show called Bo-Katan. That's it. It'll probably still do well. People love Star Wars.
I think that's what they're trying to define in many ways, is what does that mean to be Mandalorian?
How long until The Witcher becomes similar and Geralt is replaced by some Mary Sue self-insert female Witcher? And when attacked, Netflix will just say, well, anybody can be the Witcher.
All right, I'm kind of done with this. He's gonna take the last like 3 minutes of this video to just try and spout anti-wokeisms. I do agree with him that Henry Cavill in season 4 is probably gonna have even less screen time, and in season 3 he's gonna have less screen time than he had season 2, and season 4 he's gonna have less screen time than season 3. And they're just gonna phase him out. And then when what's his name that's coming in, Liam Hemsworth, whenever he comes in, he's gonna have even less screen time than Henry Cavill ever did. Because at the end of the day, what Netflix is doing is not making a Witcher show. They're making whatever they want and slapping The Witcher on and mostly from what season 2 was, it's gonna be the Yennefer and Ciri show at the end of it. Which wouldn't necessarily be bad, but advertise it that way and write it well. I think that's the good takeaways from that. Yeah, I think this guy tried to make it way too political, though, to be honest.
Witcher now.
With that said, let's move away from politics